Long time. Have managed to find myself in Portugal, Lisbon, and my wife and I have come all the way from Vancouver, Canada, and I want to state that we're from the original unceded territory of Musqueam and the Squamish and the Tsleil-Waututh Nation, so we're here doing an artist residence at the Zaratan Artist Residence Studio in Lisbon. And I've been here for 2 months, and basically visual artist doing sculptural, three-dimensional sculptural pieces with painting incorporated. My work goes way back, and I've been also basically doing sculptural pieces pretty much my whole time as an artist. And but in the last 20 to 30 years, actually, it's frightening to say those words, but it has been political or I feel political, and dealing with consumerism and militarism. I'm originally from the United States, and I have a deep kind of, my education is in Indiana and different institutions in Indiana, and I came to Canada, Vietnam War. I resisted the war, and shortly found myself on the west coast of Canada, and that's where my professional career instigated and kind of did its thing somewhat, however that's described. But it's been consumerism, the subject matter, and more recently environmental, or I'm attempting to move that way. The work has always been object-oriented, and so I build things and paint on them. I've gone through paper, wood, in the last probably 15 years or more, metal. I started with tin cans and flattening tin cans out. That was being recycling statement, and that was probably in the late 1990s. And as my work got developing, I kind of went to purchase metal. That means like sheet metal and things, and started learning how to. I've been through many experiments in handling of metal and stuff. And but here I'm going to take a sideline and explain that the events of 9/11 were very emphatic and pronounced in my life, as they were in everybody's. Earlier on, the consumerism and the militarism, I skipped over that point, impacted by Noam Chomsky's book, Manufacturing Consent, and also shortly after that I read Neil Postman's Entertaining Ourselves to Death. And both those huge impact on me, and that kind of formulated this political bent. And Eisenhower's Beware of the Military-Industrial Society. So these things are all basically the structure of my work. Consumerism, industrial, that's what the manufacturing, and when I hit on metal, it really became an industrial thing. Consumerism, logo, corporatism, and those subjects, and they've been with me throughout my work. And but I struggled in the early 2000s. I had a show where I put these objects on a pedestal, or not a pedestal, but a structure in the middle of the room, and they were corporatism, militarism, consumerism on shaped forms, and they were on this metal structure, and which is, it was okay. It got me. I did that, and but there was a disjoint. I wanted some sort of connection. More meaningful connection. I have been toying with the idea, and this goes even further back, of how does two-dimensional art, there are artwork, sculptures, and all kinds of things, and there's been actual paintings or painted objects on the floor in contemporary art for a number of years. Matter of fact, a meaningful person in my background my mentor, John Cooper, his mentor, who was quite a famous West Coast artist named William T. Wiley. Do you know that name? Really? Well, William T. Wiley was originally from Indiana, and he taught my teacher at the University of Washington in Seattle. And so I followed William T. Wiley through. And he had some artwork back in the 80s. And one of them struck me about painting objects of some kind on the floor. And that always intrigued me. What in the hell? And how's that happen? And being kind of fixated on details, I was trying to figure out how that happened. And that's been with me for years. And so here I had this art show of objects on stands. Everybody had objects painted on stands, whatever. But I wanted more. So in the late 1990s, early 20s, way back there, how does artwork get from the wall to the floor? How do these things, where's the meaning in that kind of thing? And so I really got hung up on that. And I would do artwork that kind of bent off the walls, but it wasn't on the floor. And I didn't know how to get it on the floor. And 9/11 happened, and I was shocked, as we all were. And I'd already been working with rods and things, and been getting quite versed at all that. And I tell you, it was a light kind of thing. Also, Neil Postman entertaining ourselves to death, comics, and all that kind of world. All of a sudden, I just bounced, put rods in the wall, put the artwork out there, bounced some other things. So the artwork now bouncing off the walls, ricocheting, so also had come unglued, unhinged, off the rails. And I'd already kind of been into, because of my first European trip, into icons. So my artwork being logos, mechanical, military, they were smaller pieces. And I was kind of making them, this would be late 1900s, it smashed recycled material, became iconic. So they'd have these little side wings and little kind of things, handmade, very handmade, because that's what icons are. And I was using the colors of the ancients, right? But I was always doing transfers of logos and military. So icons now weren't religious, they were consumerism, and they were militaristic. And that was in the early 2000s. And some of them would be on these struts, three-dimensional, freestanding. By the mid-2006, they were now militaristic consumerism, bouncing off the walls. And it's just like we are unglued here and unhinged. And that's where I've taken it and I've kept it. That, like all things, short memories, has faded. And the environment thing is just welling up. And BC is hugely affected, very similar with forest fires and flooding, and as many places are, the world actually. And so my work now, I feel, is I'm starting to use more environmental things in there. My experience in Zaratan is huge, and I want to thank the administration here, Gemma, Joa, and Enrique, for their help, and a magnificent institution here. It's life-changing, and Diane and I, my wife, we've really been moved by the experience. Lisbon is tremendous. Zaratan is tremendous. Taking me, getting out of Vancouver setting, putting me in here, having to relive all, or what I thought, put myself together here as an artist, but out of my context, has just, the overwhelming conditions of adaptation. And anyway, so I'm moving on, and I have no idea. You know, I'm going to get this documented here, and but my mind is just open-ended. I mean, it's actually been blown away that I am open-ended now. What am I going to do? I don't know. Anyway, so that's where I'm ending it. Any questions? I hope it's lengthy enough. I don't know, it's too short. Anyway, are there any questions? I'm going to ask her dialogues. It's, you know, that's what it is. I am a visual artist. I could go into installation. Could be performance. I could see how there'd be remnants of performing on my work.
Actually, I was probably trying to push you to speak a bit more about this. Something that mesmerized us as an association was to see you really trying to adapt to not having the material you were used to, collecting material, understanding I cannot work as I should, and trying to adapt.
Right.
And for me, it's amazing how you make the movement from studio to the creation of the gallery, but with
Right.
the purpose, the decision of making it a transformative in
Right.
progress
Right. Yeah.
installation.
Right.
I wonder if you want to share a bit more about how this process of adapting, which
Right.
I think is very
Huge.
core into a
Yeah.
residency
Yeah.
process.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how you embrace it. And,
Yeah.
and maybe you can share a bit
Yeah.
more about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I is massively life-changing, really. The struggle of getting things or not, and facilitating, getting it in place, and the working in the studio, which prior to this experience, a work would get done, and but then packed away. And the experience of, I mean, my work is really detailed in its adaptability, and why that is often another train. Like, why is there so much technology, mechanical little adaptations in my work? And that has its roots. I'm not even sure I have enough time to even think about it here right now. But it is malleability, and I kind of feel that, and that's part of this whole experience, could change. But nothing is fixed. I can change anything in there through subtle little movements and things. So that kind of goes with hand that I have the studio up here, and I'm going to take it down and put it in here and make those adjustments. And that's been in my work for many years.
But maybe what Jen was asking, and what I really see what happened when you came down and you're doing it in situ was it all became clear. The work itself changed. It's partly time constraint, but
Well, that's
also
true.
There was other things happening for you.
Well, if I can reiterate, like the first piece, because of the constraints and it wasn't much fluid, there was a lot of energy put in this one piece, and which had a strong connection to my Vancouver series of works. And could be for the same reason, because I wasn't flowing, moving. And but the second piece was starting to unfold, and huge. I mean, which doesn't relate to these questions, but the color of Portugal, Lisbon, I was able to launch into some color that really took me away, and that inspiration kind of started to open up the work. The transfer operation of imagery took me off on sideline. I wasn't able to be really fluid with transfers the way I'm used to. So there, the struggle also caused it to expand outward, and the metalwork had some, distant, barriers that I had to blow through, and I work in drywall or plasterboard back home. Very easy to pop a hole in the wall, put a little glue in there, bang, build on. Here it was stone walls, and that had its variables, and so basically I was confronted with change damn near every step of the way. The only thing, I mean, really now just reiterating all this, the only thing I didn't have, which I changed, was color. I mean, I had paint, and I could pretty much get the color, that I was used to or whatever. But when it came to transfers, metal, installation, everything else was all new, which just absolutely, I just opened up and had to try to assemble, or I felt, I would still stay in metal, but how do I keep this thing happening? And it did by, if I may, 4 pieces, pretty much 6 weeks, 5.5 weeks or something like that. By the last piece, very little I mean, really, I could make it like earlier pieces, but what I saw is installation, performance, the ability to just walk in and install and perform right there. I mean, that's what's in my mind all the time now.
The thing is, like, you left the residency time, let you lose control somehow, and I think that part might have been the...
Yeah, no, lose control, huge, absolutely. Absolutely, lose control, and try to pick up the pieces, because I have to have, and put something together, and and it was beautiful, absolutely beautiful experience, traumatic, no, I'm very inspired, and the residencies are mind-blowing. I don't think I'll do another one. I don't think I have the, anything left in me, actually. So, any more questions? I don't know if I answered that, but yeah. Good, excellent. So anyway, I expect some changes in my work. Color for sure, if I can do it, because Vancouver is gray.
Green.
And green, and some blues. Mostly gray, green, and blues. Where here it's, anything but. I mean, there's, really, the blues and the grays are set off by the, beautiful pastels, and it'll be hard to continue the color thing. It'd be a real effort. That poster drives me. I mean, I'll lock in on that poster.
I was like to make a super somebody else any other...
Do you think in any way you'd be able to reproduce this loss of control outside of
Well, I think that it is a good question, and I think that is kind of the question, really, because that's the moving aspect that Jim alluded to that I wasn't able to, but yes, how to get to that point of grasping, and putting it together from the distance of not having control, and I think probably a very good artistic struggle, really. Picasso talks about childish whatever. Well, I mean, they don't even know, But that's what an artist who is intellectually connected strives for in Picasso's statement, is that ability to muster together out of nothing some sort of semblance of something, right? And how to be there, you know? And so yes, I think, and keeping that thread, right, of that experience. Pardon?
Keep the momentum.
Yeah, no, it's huge.
Because something I was also going to comment. I think the artistic practice is a very solitary experience.
Right.
And sometimes it's so weird how by opening up to a new community or to a new person, the work can change so easily, because sometimes it does require some obsessiveness and some solo individual kind of elaboration of the thought.
Right.
So maybe the recipe of how to transport this to Vancouver can be engaging with the new
Right.
community.
Absolutely. No, I agree. And I'll lean on that. I mean, really, you know, that's what I take back, is that experience of well, I mean, for one, loss of control.
Now I'm looking at them. Maybe Diane can broke your printer or some stuff. I should add.
I'm not allowed in that, I don't get to that studio very often.
I'll keep an eye on.
No,
Where's my printer? Very good. Okay, I've got my work cut out for me, eh? Anyway, great. Okay, that's all. Any more questions? Good.
Well, thank you.
Well, thank you. No, really, it was truly a great experience. And I've got it on, I'm doing Instagram. I've learned that too, the meaning.
What's that?
Well, I don't know how to do that. I mean, we'll talk. But no, I've got a lot of work cut out for me. So anyway, very good. Thank you.